So my thinking is, yeah, leave Chrome open on AirMaster for the call, and then just use Firefox to drive the display or your the dock and all that
Okay.
for that stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
drinking
I see.
I'm drinking a pineapple cider
Pineapple
for the show
cider.
today. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's okay. It seems to give me headaches, but it's the only booze I've had on the whole trip so far, and it's the only thing I have in the
Huh.
fridge right now.
Well, okay. Well,
So
I mean,
I went for it. You know,
I'll take that
I
over
was trying
no
different
booze.
ciders. Yeah,
I'm trying
it's
to
either
picture
so
what that tastes like.
it's not bad. You know, it's like pineapple juice, only a little pricklier, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
That would make sense with the pineapple.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
A little pricklier, if you will.
Oh, I will.
So I guess that Noah guy's doing a show today. I haven't heard from him.
Is that right now?
Yeah. Do you think my audio is good enough to do the intros, or do you think you should do that? What's your assessment of the audio quality coming to you?
It's not too bad. I mean, there is a little bit of the background noise, but it's reasonably
Yeah,
low
right.
level.
Right. And if I close this window, that's a little better. Yeah.
That is better. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's
That was
probably
my last
good
salvation, though. You think so?
enough. It's real close anyway. Like just talk for a sec.
Check 1, 2, 3. Chris levels check. I'm going to read the University of Implementing Carries. What? Yeah, this is going to be not the right link to read right now on the live stream, so I'm going to keep reading. Chris said they're going to go live a little late, just getting ready to restream it and chat. RJ sets up a restream for those of us that have issues with streaming. Now, of course, you could always have a wood chipper like Eric did, which would make your live stream
Oh, that'd be
even worse.
much worse.
All I have here is
Good
folks
Lord,
driving
yes.
around in sometimes large vehicles, so sometimes a big diesel goes by, but so far I've been pretty lucky. What do you think? How's that sound?
sounded pretty good. I thought it
Yep,
sounded good.
okay. All right, we'll do it. Now I'm thinking I'm going to ask Rikai to do the music and post, just because it's going to be pretty hard to sync up remote.
That's probably right. That makes sense.
because there's a little bit of a delay. Yeah. Well, cool. All right. Let's see how we doing. See, I have eyes on the mumble room over here.
Calm down now, Tabs. Come on,
Is
get out
it?
of
Can
here.
you see that? How cool is it that I have this remote login right now?
Yeah, that's
Love
great.
it. Yeah, it is. Let's see. On this guy, boy, I wonder. So you should be able to, if you need to, mute the mumble, and I can still keep going.
Yeah,
So I wonder
right.
if maybe we'll do that. So you have your pedal. So use your pedal during the intro, and then I'll
This should
unmute the
be-
mumble
oh,
room.
let's see.
Yeah, there you go. See, there's okay.
Yep,
There's
okay.
mute on the mumble room. I see Simon up there. We should get Simon down here, and Ben and JJ if they can, before we start. So we'll give them a moment.
Come join our wild party.
Yeah, then we'll get started. So, how's the pups? How are your pups?
Oh, excellent.
Good.
How's the road dog?
He's doing really good. He seems to need more attention than normal. Like he wants to be up in Hadia's lap a
Everything's
lot more.
different.
Yeah.
How do I handle that?
And there was one moment where we were driving a lot and he needed to go potty and we didn't notice. So there was poop in the inside and he pooped on the vent. When the 2 times Levi's ever pooped inside, he's like tried to poop on another thing instead of like on the floor itself.
It
It's
feels
kinda
less
funny.
bad that way.
Dude, my
I've
dog
had other
does
dogs.
the same thing.
Yeah, I've had other dogs do that too. It's like they're like, well, I know I'm doing this, but I'm gonna try not to poop on their floor. I'm gonna the first time he ever did it was like the first week I had him, and he pooped exactly on a glove, on the open palm of a glove. And I was like, all right, well that glove's gone now. I'm done with that. And that was easy peasy. I was like, all right, at least the cleanup's easy. This time though, he pooped on a vent. Because he doesn't know that it's got holes in it but thankfully it was a healthy poo and it did not seep through the vent and Hadia got to it quickly. And so since then, Levi's really been dictating our drive schedule. And he's figured out that if he lays down in front of the door, now we know that means he needs to go potty.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So those 2 things have worked out. So now we're going on his schedule. And it almost uncannily has worked up to where there's a rest stop. Once it was like another 10-15 minutes and we were like, oh, hold on, Levi, hold on, and keep trying to keep him distracted, but otherwise it's almost uncannily like he's laid down and needed to go potty and like the rest area sign comes up, and so that's worked out. And then in fact last night he did that, and we're like, well, we'll stop here at the rest stop, and it's the first rest stop in Northern California right after you go over Grants Pass, and you arrive in Northern California, and it's one of my favorite rest stops because in Northern California there's very little light pollution, so it's really bright stars, and then it's way down and away from the freeway. It's you go down off an off ramp like a regular freeway exit, and you go under the freeway and you drive around and go over a river and then park, and so it's away from the road noise. So it's just this nice place with a grass area and park and a river, and it's down in like this valley surrounded by the mountains, and it's removed from the road, and it's completely free to stay there. And so Levi needed to go potty, and so we pulled in and we're like, let's just stay here. Let's just stay here for the night. So we stayed there. We parked a little earlier last night than we planned to and got up earlier than we planned to and drove a little extra today. And it was because Levi needed to go potty.
Oh, well,
So
Levi gets
it works
whatever
by-
he wants.
It works by going. His schedule works for us. It seems he needs to stop a little more frequently than we do, but he can't also just get up and go to the toilet like we can.
No, he cannot. So it looks like everything's looking pretty good over here. It looks like the Ubuntu 1804, one of the links on the top of the dock is missing, or is a double.
Oh, yeah. There's one I just tossed in there about the beta for 1804 that's supposed to go after the Ting spot. Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 boop.
Funny story about the beta, actually. Bashful Robot and myself are actually driving that beta. We're dealing with stuff related.
Wait a
to
minute. Hold on.
transitions going
Whoa.
Yeah.
You got to tell us in the show. Don't tell us now.
Okay,
That sounds like a
yeah,
good
sure.
story.
I guess just spoil
Yeah.
it all right before the show, right?
Dude,
I know it's a
there's
bad
a reason
habit. It's a bad
There's a
habit.
reason-
Yeah.
There's a reason why they call it a tease.
The
You
it's
should
funny
learn
like
how to do one.
I'll do it. Joe does that to me all the time. We'll be talking about something on Telegram, and Joe will be like, "Stop, shut up, save it for the show. Shut up, save it for the show." He's always
That's
right.
why I pinged and just said, could we put it in?
Yeah. All right. So that's what that is. It's supposed to go right after Ting. Are you recording over there, Wes?
Not yet, but I should be.
Yeah,
Let's see here.
Yeah. Hit the old record there.
There we
on
are.
The old OBS beast. On the beast of OBS. This is a pretty technical feat we're pulling off right now because I am in Sacramento. Wes is in the Pacific Northwest. The Mumble Room is all over the world, and we are all hanging out just talking about Linux for like the last 45 minutes.
Amazing.
In real time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you're
It's
not part of this
huge.
virtual lug, you've got to come try it. You've got to, apparently even Donald Trump is here. Well, now you've just scared them all away. Thank you very much.
Peace out.
LOL.
Is it just me or is Chris's audio just a little bit quiet?
Yeah, it seems a little muted now.
Yeah,
for some
a
reason.
little. Okay, so hey Wes, all right, here's something. I don't know if I can do this remotely.
Okay.
But here's something you can try. So, when you're looking at the mixer, you know how there's that second half of sliders that we never use?
Yes.
And then there, in the middle between the sliders, there's a row of buttons.
Yes.
And there's, if you hit, stand by, Mumble Room. If you hit the, I guess the sends button, it's like it's one of the buttons there. Do you see the,
It's
what
one
they're
of the
called?
two
What they're-
middle ones. I know this because
Yeah.
I have an X32.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
you hit that, and then the sliders will change.
Yep. Now it's blinking.
Now the number 1 slider is a little low, I think, on that side, and that's the feed that goes into the Mumble Room. You see that? You see what I'm saying? Does that make any sense?
Yes,
So
I
like
think
this,
so.
when you hit the sends button, the slider should have changed on the far right of the slides that we don't normally use of the.
Sends on fader.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like
Yeah.
it's just about normal.
Hmm.
Or it's
Oh,
right
okay.
at 0 anyway on the
Oh,
slider.
okay. Am I coming in low to you, Wes?
Not too bad. I mean, you're definitely not hot.
Take a look at our levels. Let's do a comparison in OBS. So I'm talking right now in OBS. Now you talk a little bit in OBS.
Now I'm talking in OBS. No, I mean they seem like they're fairly right
they
along.
seem they're about the same network. Now let's both talk at the same time. Let's both talk at the same
Let's
time.
talk
We're gonna
at the
just
same
talk at the same time.
Oh man, this is
I mean,
horrible
we're
to
gonna
listen
just say
to, but it's a
things
lot
around
of
the
fun.
same time.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
does it look like the levels are about the okay? So it's probably the feed we're sending into the Mumble Room, and I'm not sure if it looks good. You can hit the. You can I guess you don't have to really change anything. If it looks like it's at 0, check 1 2 check. I'm checking. Now you say something, Wes.
Hello. That now you got louder. At least to what I heard.
Yeah, I just moved closer to the mic. Sorry, because I'm looking at the
Right.
Yeah, I do
Picking about
see.
negative 10 on my meters.
Yeah, I do see. I'm looking at just the system level. I can see that the machine is sending less levels to the mumble room.
It feels about over 9,000 for me.
Wow.
Thanks, thank you, dude. So helpful.
That joke about Ryan's belt, it's only 3-star joke.
Let's see. I wonder. See, I don't think I have a way to.
Totally loud though.
You want?
Huh?
You
What?
sound a little loud, Third.
Oh. See, I don't think I have a way to check those levels on the remote console. I'm looking at my sends, but of course, yeah, I'm seeing 0 there too.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Mumble Room, I apologize about that. It doesn't look like it's in the main mix, though, so that's good. If anybody wanted to check on the live stream and just do a double check of Wes's volume and mine, that'd be kind of useful. Or if anybody's in the IRC room that could tell me.
Well, Chris, I'm on Gen 2, dude.
Oh, Noah's checking for me. All right, thanks, Brown Bear.
What a dear.
Right on. Well,
What a
that's
guy.
great.
What a
All right. So that's great, boy. This I love this app. You know, Noah's the one that told me about this. I was skeptical at first. I'll admit, because I don't know why it's free, and I don't know why it's using the same damn codec that everything else we've ever tried uses. But sure enough, if it doesn't almost. And this is at a lower quality set. This is at significantly lower quality setting than it can be maxed out to. I just wanted to leave enough bandwidth for my remote session too. Anyways, are you ready, Mr. West? What do you
I'm
say?
just adjusting the Airmaster shot here.
Oh, good man. Good on you. And you got the lower third set approps?
It is now 239.
239.
So hopefully that's the correct number.
You have any anecdotes for the top of the show?
Ooh, anecdotes. Anecdotes.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Let's see.
All right.
I'm just making sure I have the right link here for that.
You guys
Kernel.
all bang suggest as we go along. Give us a a good title for this one.
Yeah, we're gonna need that. That's really important.
Chris, have you ever heard of
Did-
Firehouse Subs?
Yeah. Why do you ask? Because I just ate there
I'm
last night.
I'm eating there tonight.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's a good place. I've had it.
I've
Yeah.
never had one.
It is
Oh.
good, and plus on your birthday, if you show your ID, well, now I think it's in the app, but you get a free.
Every day's
sub
my
on your
birthday.
Well,
Heyo.
my birthday's July 16th, so I might have one that night.
So let me tell you about the before we just start. Actually, maybe I'll save it for the show. That could be how we start the show. All right, guys. As long as we have the green light from no rush, Mr. West. You tell me when we have the green light.
I'm just making sure I have that. I put the link for that soft PD or the kernel thing. Or that their kernel story.
That kernel story.
And
Which
I'm
kernel
actually,
story?
I heard about that we're possibly talking about Ubuntu, so I'm downloading their latest daily build right now.
Mother of. Yep. There you go. What's going on at Ting? Anything new at Ting? Oh my gosh, did Ting rock the internet connectivity all day yesterday? I tried. I had the AT&T Unlimited with me, but the AT&T Unlimited was getting like 8 megabits, and the Ting was getting about 28 megabits down and 20 megabits up, and a unbelievable, like rock awesome, like 18 millisecond ping time. So I did all of Coda Radio and Tech Talk over the Ting connection. So I'll talk about that probably.
That's incredible.
I was really, really, really impressed and really happy too, because it was the CDMA network, and I just kind of actually happened to decide, all right, I'll bring both, just because I've just been using the GSM. Anyways, I'll save it.
Yeah.
Your fucking face, Wes.
I
Your
know,
fucking
right?
face.
Yeah, okay. I think we are good to go over here.
Colonel Linux, if you're listening, you should jump in the old
Yeah,
mumble
you're
room
on-
there and
Why not?
chillax with us. I mean, why not? Yeah.
Chillax. Talk some Linux.
I could have sent him the invite link too. Although I'd have to. I don't know if I can bring more in after the fact. You know what would be good, Wes, is if we remember to set TeamViewer not to require a damn password for me to manage that.
Okay. Let's remember that.
Let's try to remember that. Okay, guys. Mumble Room, stand by. We're going to put you on mutes just for a little bits, and then we're going to get into the show here. And Wes, you're recording over there on your
I
end.
sure am.
All right. So, Beard, this is going to be music after the fact, so the intro will be a little bit different. But let's go in 3, in 2. This is Linux Unplugged, episode 239 for March 6th, 2018. Welcome to Linux Unplugged, your weekly Linux talk show that's all over the world this week. My name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
Hello, Wes. I miss being in the same studio with you. You know, I don't get to watch you, stare at you as you talk in the. I mean, what?
No, that
really
definitely
fast,
doesn't
Wes,
happen.
that-
We'll be reunited soon, but it's amazing that this is working at all, and I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, it is. And we've got a great show. So we've got a couple of interesting things that I want to chew on today, like some big picture stuff. It does involve Microsoft and other companies, and maybe what your company is doing wrong in open source and how some of these other companies have figured it out, companies that used to battle it. Plus, we've got some interesting project updates, some weird things happening with Java Enterprise, and some Ubuntu news, some other things, as well as a few anecdotes from the road, Wes. So I think it's going to be like a fun one. It's like the pre-scale storm now.
Yeah,
I don't know how to put it
road trip
exactly.
check-in.
You know what's great about this is, so this setup right now that we're doing, I'm connected to you through a microphone, a USB interface, and a box running Chrome.
That's so lean.
It was going to be my XPS 13, but I ended up I'm on the. You remember the old MacBook that you set up running Arch?
How could I forget? We've had such a tender relationship.
Yep. So I've got that in here, and so I have that running Chrome and connected to a MiFi, and that's
Well,
how
you
we
sound
talk
great.
now.
This is incredible.
It's amazing what we can do in this modern day, and we haven't even turned this thing up to 11 because we have remote controls into the studio, so that way I can do things like bring in the Mumble Room. Time appropriate greetings, Mumble Room.
What's up?
Woo!
That was amazing.
That was
Good job,
good.
Mumble
That was
Room.
really good.
Yeah. You guys are on
good.
point.
You know, Wes, I'm kind of missing out right now. Levi and Hadia are out exploring Sacramento as I record.
Well, that
That's where
sounds
we're
way
parked right
better.
now. Yeah,
Maybe I'll
we're
just
parked.
jump out of the studio, go join them, and good luck
Yeah,
on your own, Chris.
They're like, well, see you later. I'm like, what? Yeah, we're going to go explore the capital. She got an Uber, and they're out walking around Sacramento. While I'm inside the RV, and it is surrounded by wasps. Down in California, apparently there's bees already, and they're like crawling all over my mirrors, trying to get in while I do this show. That's my situation.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yikes. Well, stay safe now.
I'm surrounded by wasps. I have no choice but to just sit here, hunkered down, and podcast. So that's what we'll be doing.
Well, at least you have us to join you in your suffering.
So we're going to start with a couple of big meta topics that I think might come up later on in the show. First one doesn't really have anything to do with Linux other than, well, we're going to get to it in a roundabout way. Jeff Bezos has spent $42 million building a clock that will run for 10,000 years. This is part of the Long Now Foundation. It was created in 1996 in the hopes to provide a counterpoint to today's accelerating culture and help make long-term thinking more common. One of its initiatives is the Clock of the Long Now, which is designed to run for 10 millennia without any need for human intervention. And Bezos took interest in it 6 years ago and has invested $42 million. Think about trying to build a system that could last 10 millennia without any human intervention. You can do that with Linux, right? You can do that, Wes. Come on.
I certainly wouldn't try to do it with Windows.
I suppose not. The heart of the clock is a titanium pendulum that beats once every 10 seconds. Now, the falling weight that powers the clock can be wound by hand, but it is otherwise kept wound by solar power. Sunlight shines into an aperture in the 500-foot deep chamber in which the clock sits.
Oh, that's great.
It then strikes the air-filled cylinder. The expansion of the cylinder provides enough energy to lift the falling weight slightly and also provide some correction for solar noon timing. And one key feature of the clock, and this is kind of weird if you think about it, the displays are not active until a human enters the clock chamber and fully winds the mechanism.
Interesting.
So it's still keeping time, but it doesn't display time until there's a human there to observe it. But yet it's built to last 10 millennia without humans, but if there's no human there to observe it, it never displays the time.
Just sits there in silence, displaying nothing, keeping time.
That's so weird. That is so weird. And he spent $42 million on this.
What do you think? 10 millennia, 42 million. Do you think that dollars per millennia is a pretty good deal for this or no?
Well, actually, I mean, it kind of does seem like it's a decent deal, doesn't it? I got to be honest with you, Wes. It does actually seem
Also,
pretty
I
legit.
imagine the people designing this have had a lot of fun. It seems like a great project, just in that it's weird and kind of interesting. So it's neat that the crazy rich can fund one-off projects like this.
Now, I know that this isn't going to appeal to you, but some of you out there are on Windows. Now, don't deny it. I know it's true. I've seen the download numbers. A good number of you are on Windows, and it just may be getting a little bit easier to run Ubuntu. We talked about this on Linux Action News, and now with only 3 mouse clicks, once this is completed, you'll be able to get an Ubuntu VM that offers full clipboard integration, drive redirection, and enhanced display performance. Right there, 3 clicks in the Hyper-V gallery, boom, Ubuntu 18.04, ready to go. And some of the really cool stuff that they've done, and I don't know a lot about this, but they've worked with the open source XRDP project to bake in communication to Hyper-V's communication bus, which there's already like a socket that's been upstreamed to the Linux kernel to enable this communication. So it goes from the kernel socket to the Hyper-V socket, and they talk, well, XRDP to transmit the graphics, and it makes it a really fast interface and really low latency for the remote graphics of the VM, which are not actually remote, depending on how you're using it. Anyways, when you combine it with drive integration, clipboard integration, and XRDP integration over this HV hook or HV sock system, this is going to be a pretty compelling step up from the Windows subsystem for Linux on a Windows 10 machine. You know, you're sitting there, you're hacking away on something under the subsystem. Screw this. This isn't enough. Well, now 3 clicks and you have this really hyper-integrated Ubuntu VM. What do you think about this, Wes?
Is this the death knell for VirtualBox on Windows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going like, what does this mean for people switching from Windows to Linux? My brain's been racing with that. I hadn't thought about the competitors.
Right.
This is like home turf advantage.
I also know a lot of people who haven't yet, been able, for enterprise policy reasons or otherwise, been really able to work the subsystem into their workflow, but are already using virtual machines. So it seems like this rolling out when it does will have an immediate impact there as well. I can also imagine developing, as you're saying, in the subsystem, but then still having a fleet of, development servers running locally in these VMs and be able to test there. I almost don't need a Linux laptop, and that's a little scary.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it.
Scary. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it could potentially mean less Linux switchers. That's definitely a possibility. But there's another way to look at it. It's possible that now more people will be using Linux.
Yeah, the barrier to entry now is a lot lower.
They get hooked on the good sauce, right?
And then you're like, why am I running this in a virtual machine?
First taste.
Yeah. Once they get the first taste for free, right? And then they'll go out and buy.
How insidious.
Yeah, no. Also, speaking of this kind of stuff. Oh, does somebody else have something they want to add from? Go ahead, Mumble. I heard somebody else jump in.
By the way, I think they just added Debian and Kali Linux support in the Windows Store as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to mention. Is Kali Linux is in there now, as part of the subsystem, I guess. I'm not, or is this part of the Hyper-V stuff? I don't really know.
It's a subsystem thing.
And it doesn't have the hacking tools. Like, you have to install that separately. So, I mean, I'm sure it's pretty easy to do that, but yeah.
I mean,
Sucks they don't got Gen 2.
Wow.
Well, this is Kali Linux is one of those tools that Windows administrators still end up using because it's just a really good tool to test yourself.
And it has everything. It often comes with a lot of things pre-configured. Perhaps not in this case, but
yeah. But if it has scripts to set that stuff up, that's probably legit. Yeah, it could be legit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super jazzed up about it. Yeah. We're all kind of like meh. It's good to see it. And it means more users for Kali.
But they might just run it in one of those fancy new VMs anyway.
Yeah, that's true. You could if that XRDP stuff goes upstream, which Microsoft did submit it upstream, and the HV hook stuff is already upstream and it's integrated into kernel 4.15, then any distro could really take advantage of that. So yeah, you're right. That would probably be a great way to use Kali because then you would have the full Kali. I'm just trying to think if there's any network stuff that wouldn't work because of the virtualized card, because that could be a possibility.
You would have to configure that depending on what you're trying to do. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know, Wes. You know what? The only way to find out would be for you to get a Windows 10 machine and test it. I guess
You're
you'll have to.
Oh.
I want to take a moment and thank Ting. Why don't we do that right here? Go to linux.ting.com. I was really, really impressed yesterday when I sat down. I compared all the different carriers that I had with me, and the Ting CDMA was the fastest, but more importantly, the lowest latency. And sure enough, here I am now in Sacramento. Same thing. I would have sworn it would have been the GSM network. That's what I love about Ting is they have both, and I just turn these devices on when I'm traveling because it's $6 for the line. And so honestly, if you have a backup line or a data device you need to use occasionally or a phone that you can just be kind of savvy about using Wi-Fi, well then $6 a month, that's nothing. That's nothing. Linux.ting.com is where you go to get started, and you get $25 off a device, or if you bring one that's compatible, just check their BYOD page. They'll give you $25 in service credit. Now, your average Ting bill is going to be around $23 all in, probably before Uncle Sam's cut. $23 for your minutes, your messages, and your megabytes, and the $6 for the line. So a $25 credit will probably pay for more than your first month because that's how Ting rolls. Linux.ting.com. Go there and then check out their blog post about comparing their Wi-Fi. Their internet connection with Wi-Fi. So their LTE with Wi-Fi and the differences there. I was super impressed. I was just talking to Wes on the pre-show. I pulled up. I was getting 22 down. Even it got as high as 28 up.
Ooh.
And I was getting... Yeah, I know. It was just...
Those are some numbers.
But, the thing was that really rocked is I was getting around 18, 20, 15 millisecond ping time to the different servers.
Wow.
Yeah, and right now where I'm at, I'm getting around 30 milliseconds, which is still really, really outrageously great.
That puts it in that territory where you start thinking about differently, right? It's not just this shaky this shaky MiFi connection. Mm-hmm. It's a real first-class internet connection.
We can use it for broadcast, which
exactly.
is great. In fact, I'm thinking about when we get to the next story, I'm tempted to try turning up the broadcast quality another notch because I have it turned down right now because I'm also remote team viewered into machines in the studio. And I'm thinking about just pushing Ting to the limit and turning it up another notch. I don't even know what the software would do, but damn if it isn't tempting. So I'm going to do it. Go to linux.ting.com. One way this is going to work or another. So I would imagine this is going to disconnect Wes and then reconnect.
Okay, we'll hang tight here.
You finish up, tell people go to linux.ting.com, and then we can go over to the Ubuntu story, but I'm going to hit the button. I'm going to go up another notch. I don't know what, in 3, 2, Ting, save me!
See, we can't do it without Ting. Oh, really?
Wait, that's all. That's it.
Wow.
It did it. I bet you I have to refresh. I bet you it hasn't kicked in yet till I refresh. I'm still tempted to try it, Wes.
I know, right?
All right, I'm going to hit refresh.
Okay,
you ready?
Do that, yes.
Okay. Wish me luck. Here I go.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm hitting it.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Now we know it was real. It's all possible with Ting. Head on over to linux.ting.com so you can be as impressed and satisfied. And now we're happy to welcome Mr. Chris Fisher back to the Linux Unplugged program.
That is great. That was a lot of fun. Oh, that was great. That's like living on the edge. Talk about
real time, doing it live.
Now we're up a whole other notch. We're at 128 kilobits now. So I don't did you start talking about the big exciting news that will probably happen just a little bit after the show?
Jump right in.
Okay. So I may just take a back seat and actually let Simon jump here in a moment. But as we record this, if things go as planned, going by the schedule here on the Ubuntu Wiki, we should see Beta 1 for 1804, if not tomorrow, probably the day after or somewhere around there, March 8th. And then the opt-in flavors as well. But right before the show started, Simon started telling us about this. And I said, wait, save it for the show. So Simon, pick back up where you left off. What's sort of the story that you had to share with the 1804 beta release?
So with the 1804 beta, this is something that we are sort of working on today, actually, and I've been working with Dustin Krysak, who's also here. We were just sort of gauging interest because for the first two alphas of this release, it ended up being bad timing because we had the Spectre meltdown stuff that went on, so they disabled all the launchpad builders, so we couldn't build anything. And then after that beta or alpha 2, we also had some other difficulties, and this is the first 1804 milestone. So you're gonna see a couple different things that you would usually see in like a daily build, like just today, for example, we landed a new point release for Qt. That's something that I was working on specifically. Otherwise, the flavors that I know of participating right now in this are Lubuntu, where it's just general bug fix. Lubuntu Next is also participating in this release, which, it's Lubuntu Next is going to see a huge overhaul of things with, different applications coming in and different theming and that sort of thing. Then there's, Ubuntu Budgie, Xubuntu is participating, all different sorts of flavors. But this is really a sort of a community release, because the Ubuntu desktop, they don't participate in any milestone besides the final beta. So this is really good time, I think, in my opinion, to go and see what's going on in each of the flavors, because this is really the first milestone of the 1804 release. So it's really, like I said, it's a really good way to see what people have been working on thus far.
Yeah. And I am tempted to do it. It's funny. 1804 is sort of like 1710, although not quite as strong because it's not the switch to GNOME. But I have a lot of people in my circle of friends and family that I take care of their computers, and they're all kind of due now. Some of them weren't on 1604. Like Dylan, he's on I think he's on Loki Elementary OS, and Hadia, I think, is on the last LTS. Before 1604, I can't remember, but she's due for 2 of her machines to get replaced. And my dad has a system I don't even know if he's using anymore that I got to contact him about. And like 1804 is going to be one that I think a lot of people in my circle are going to end up using that I maintain their computers for.
People have been waiting, letting things bake. Yeah, you're right. I think it will be kind of how 16 felt like a similar moment in some ways. It will get wide deployment, and suddenly everyone will be on the latest Ubuntu.
Including probably Wes Payne, huh?
Oh yeah.
Are you sticking with the plasma?
Including
What's
me.
going?
Oh,
Including JJ too. Yeah. What's the plasma status? I so far have stuck with it.
yes, I have been sticking with it as well. It's been really smooth. I think I got enough configuration down. I know a little bit more about how to tweak the things that I actually care about, where I think I could replicate that pretty quickly on a new install. I'm actually thinking about paving and doing that just to make sure that I'm right there. And with that down, I feel a lot more comfortable with it. Before, it was just that, GNOME had defaults that I really liked and worked really well for me. Now that I have that on KDE, it's great.
I think the thing that's helped me set up the Neon workstation was I did all KDE Neon, so it's all the same distro. It wasn't a mix this time of Ubuntu and Arch, which is what I've done in the past a lot.
That could be more complicated.
And I also just sat down once, and the first time I launched Dolphin, I went through and changed all of the defaults I don't like. The first time, I log in, I changed all of the desktop environment settings that I don't like, and so I each time said, okay, there's going to be a slight tax each time, but then once I've done it once, they stay. I've gone now for weeks, and I haven't had settings revert, Windows reopen where I want them. The console stays the same size I had it last time. I know.
It's so simple, but
great.
it's so nice.
And you're sitting down there using AirMaster, and you haven't had to reboot it before you could use it like we were having with Unity 7, which means none of the when we do. Also, when you do have to reboot it, say for an update or something, it's better at remembering the display output options into the OBS capture setup.
That is such a tiny thing, but it's like killer for our use case.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those nice little things. So Rodden was right. It's a great professional desktop. And I think if a company came along, even a company like, oh man, I really shouldn't go down this rabbit hole, but like a company like System 76, what would make Pop OS 10 times more compelling is if they were doing something that wasn't GNOME. Because really what people could do is, right, you could just go get their theme on GNOME, on stock Ubuntu and call it good, and then you're close to mainline, you're close to what you're running in production, and you still have their design aesthetics. But if they were taking their design aesthetics and applying it to the Plasma desktop and really just sort of getting down those rough edges, man, that would be a really, really compelling distro, and it'd really stand out. It'd be something that's different.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that shipping, and there might be a lot of value add they could have in just having it really well configured from the start.
Now, what do you think, Simon? We don't give enough love to Kubuntu?
Yeah, I think Ubuntu's going to have a nice release because I know the 1604 really wasn't that good of a release for Kubuntu. So 1804 is going to be interesting because it's going to be the latest LTS Plasma on top of the latest LTS Qt, and it's going to be baked in with the LTS Ubuntu. So while you do have KDE Neon, with them sunsetting the user edition or the LTS edition, it might be a good opportunity if you want to try Kubuntu, if you want a really rock solid, stable KDE Plasma experience.
Are we calling it sunsetting? Is that what we're calling it, of the LTS edition? Because it's still there.
No,
Yeah,
it's gone. It's going away.
Okay.
It's
So
not
it's sunsetted.
able to download, but it's going away. Like, it's just like right now you can still use it. And the repos are still there, but they're focusing away from the LTS version of Neon because there's really no reason for it to be there. Because the majority of the time they put their effort into the regular user, and that was kind of like the original point of Neon in the first place. They just kind of made the LTS version because it made sense at the time. But now, like with Kubuntu providing an LTS solution on an LTS base with a solid LTS release of Plasma, there's really no need for it.
Yeah, okay.
I
can see that.
Ubuntu is going to have a lot of interesting updates for the release of 1804 because I've participated in making those updates. And,
can you get any teases, any hints of what we should look for?
Well, I mean, just if you just boot the Kubuntu 1804, you will notice a change immediately with the theming much different. So like one of the things that I did not like about Plasma, like there's a few things that Plasma doesn't do good by default. I'm trying to fix those, and Kubuntu are very receptive to those. So that's really awesome. One of the biggest things that I've convinced them to change is that the default like Breeze theme is super bright, and it's kind of awkward for like the panels and widgets and menus and stuff. So they've switched it so that you have the dark theme Breeze for the panels, the menus, and the widgets, with a bright theme for the windows. So it's like a hybrid approach.
Nice.
Oh,
well, good on you.
Sound right, because I gotta tell you, guys, I have light sensitivity in my eyes, and that's why I wear glasses. So one of the reasons why, other than my stigmatism, and I gotta tell you, light themes just hurt the heck out of my eyes. So this is a good notice for me, as well as another thing I wanted to mention was XFCE, and especially Ubuntu. I've been waiting like hell for good XFCE high DPI support. So I'm thinking of, until that happens, to have Kubuntu installed and have this with my MacBook, because I got to tell you, I hate that XFCE doesn't have good high DPI support right now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
and that's a ways out.
To Kubuntu for this amazing. Yeah,
that's a ways out.
Switching to Kubuntu because I know that they have decent high DPI support, so I'm thinking of going to Kubuntu instead.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ben, is if you try it out, you're not going to go back. That's what's going to happen. You won't go back once you try it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah, it's downloading Kubuntu 1804 and just chucking that on there instead.
Hey, yeah, you're going to like it.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, people tweeted last week or the week before and said, hey, how come you guys didn't talk about the Plasma update? It's just sort of, now we're there. We're using it, and we're not switching. And it's stuck. And I really, really like it. Yeah, it is the new normal. So I'm going to transition from that, and I'm going to mention why I'm on the road, just because people probably already know, but just in case, it's your last chance. Scale 16X, the 16th annual Southern California Linux Expo. It's going on at the Pasadena Convention Center March 8th through the 11th, so it's starting in just a couple of days. I will be in the Pomona area Wednesday evening, and Wes, it's funny when I get into California, because I've got the live tracker going at the JupiterBroadcasting.com/rover.
I was gonna ask. That's perfect. We can all creepily follow along.
Well, people do, and I totally encourage it. It's great because what happens is, as soon as I get into California, it's New York, California, and Salt Lake City. When I'm in either one of those areas, it goes from like, let's go out and get a bite to eat. Yeah, that sounds cool. We'll meet up and get a bite to eat. And it goes from, well, okay, we got a big group, so we're gonna have to go do a meetup. Where can we go where we can fit like 7 people? It's just way more people because everybody's so densely packed in here in New York and in California and apparently Salt Lake City. And so I may potentially be going out to dinner with 5 different listeners.
That's
tonight.
incredible.
I know. After driving like a madman, we got on the road before sunrise, before 6 a.m. and drove to get here, so that way we could sit and park somewhere and do the show. And I've just been getting telegrams and tweets. It's great. And I've already got listener Jeff on the way to meet up after we get off the air with Unplugged here at the RV.
Oh, wow. So do you
Yeah,
think you're
yeah.
ready? I mean, does scale starts on Thursday? Is that right?
Pumped. Yeah, I'm pumped. I also heard from listener Ryan, tech guy, who a couple of years ago helped us out by letting us borrow his Cadillac when we got into Pomona, because it's about 45 minutes between Pomona and Pasadena, which is Pasadena's where Scale's at. And so Ryan's like, well, you're not planning to drive your RV in there, are you? And we're like, no. He's like, I don't think you realize how expensive that's going to be on Uber. Why don't you borrow my car? And we're like, okay.
Whoa.
Okay, and so he shows up, and it's a Cadillac, and which I just have an affection for, because my grandparents always had Cadillacs, and so it's pretty great. So Ryan reached out to me again this year and said, "Hey, you need another ride? I could meet you Thursday morning and bring you into Scale." So yeah, Ryan and I are going to be meeting back up again and riding the Cadillac into town and going to Scale Thursday morning. I think Noah's going to arrive in town like Thursday evening. So I'll be there in the morning to get like the beginning, do the meet and greets with folks and meet a few people, get some interviews lined up, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it just go, this is the Scale. So Scale was talking to us and they're like, so do you want the booth? And we're like, nope, we don't want the booth. You don't want a booth? Nope. But how are you going to do a live show? We're like, well, maybe you could give us a room somewhere that's quiet. What? We're like, yeah, that's how we want to do it this year. No booth.
Totally different.
We're just going to go enjoy ourselves and really try to get a sense of where Linux is going in 2018, because you got a lot of good projects there, a lot of different industry representation. That's one of the reasons I'm taking all this effort to go to Scale, is because it's like the biggest event in the States. And so I wish it was Linux Fest Northwest, because that's up there. That's a big one, but it's not as big as Scale. And in fact, the folks from Linux Fest Northwest usually go to Scale to represent. And so I got to go to Scale if I want to go to like the big community event. The big community
And
event.
it's another side of the community. There's different people that can make it there, so I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. I'm trying to document bits of the journey too as we go down in Tech Talk today. I just published episode 264, Parking Lot Podcaster, yesterday, and kind of captured the first bit of the trail and the trek down here. techtalk.today is where you can go to get that. And if you want to track me live as I'm making my way down to Scale, jupiterbroadcasting.com/rover. That tracker is in the RV, not on me. So people show up at the RV and they're like awkward about it, and they're like hanging out around the RV, and I'm not there. It's not on me. Like, you can get to the RV by watching that, but you got to telegram me or tweet me to actually find where I'm at. But if it's during Scale, it's
So
probably
you
gonna
move
be
around
Pasadena.
outside of Lady Jupes?
Turns out I leave Lady Jupes. Yeah, I know. People have asked me, well, could you just put the tracker in your pocket? And I feel like that's the line where that's too far. So it's like, no, it's installed in Lady Jupes. I've considered it. When we were in New York for a short period of time, we did remove it from Lady Jupes and we installed it into Dia's car. But yeah. Well, I love this app that you found, Wes. It's like salvation for Slack users. Not that anybody ever uses Slack.
No,
right?
certainly not. I wouldn't.
Nobody on this show, nobody in the Mumble Room uses Slack. Nobody in the IRC or Discord, nobody listening ever uses.
We only use what mattered most.
yeah, and there is definitely some of that.
But I use Slack at work.
Do you? Yeah. Is it pretty entrenched into the workflow?
Actually, yes, because we use it for most of our communication, just to, like, when we're, especially my department, when we're away from each other or intercampus, that kind of thing. Yeah,
and I know, Wes, I know you use it with the
Definitely.
network, but you also have a day job use for it too. Like, so you're pretty heavy into Slack, just for work reasons, right?
Yep, definitely. It's on all my devices just for that. If not, also the network. You're absolutely right.
So I want to try to find different ways to use Slack that are quick and easy and low bandwidth. And so that's why I love this app that you found, Wes. Slack Term, which is a Slack client for your terminal, and it's a simple install away, and you just download a binary for your system and run it. I think it's written in Go. Yeah, did you check a look? I think it's a Go app.
Let's take a look here.
And it's got a whole set of keyboard
it's a Go
commands. Yeah, it's written in Go.
So you can get a nice static binary you can run. Yeah, and it really is. I mean, if you just look at the interface, it's pretty minimal. I like that. It may not have all the features that you want, but if you just want to be able to reply quickly, not jump out of your terminal, this might be the thing for you.
I love the idea of SSH sessions running with certain applications just omnipresent. I don't know. I do it rarely, and then it all falls apart, and I stop using all of it, and then I build things back up over time, like torrent clients and SSH and IRC and things like that. And then I sort of tear it all down, depending on my use case. So,
but like a team up
really
session where you could stick this in there and just come back to it anytime you needed it.
Or I've done X2Go as well, which is also really nice, and just have it up in an X session. But anyways, this is sort of like a low bandwidth way to take care of Slack. But the point I was getting at here is you can build a set of tools like this. What I had set up was an X2Go session on a DigitalOcean droplet that was just always running. It's still running right now, which is great because I'm on a MiFi connection, so maybe something really big and intensive comes up. The MiFi connection is fast enough to do an X2Go session, and that's secured over SSH, right? And so then I'm working on a machine that's on a DigitalOcean droplet that has a 40 gigabit connection, digitalocean.com. Go over there and create your account and use our promo code DO Unplugged. And for a limited time, depends on engagement, there's a great deal. And Wes, do you have the paper there? There's like a URL. It's like do.co/unplugged, I think.
Ooh,
there's
let's take a
got an
look
email
at
somewhere on the table there. There's
do.co/unplugged.
Okay, now here's why I wanted to make sure he got that, because that's the email where DigitalOcean is informing us that for a limit, it's great. Nice. That sounds good, Wes. It's a limited time $100 credit for your DigitalOcean account if you're a new customer. Wow. Because honestly, the $10 credit is more than enough because you could run the $10.
Great,
yeah. So $100 credit, that's insane. And the reason is because they've got new systems. They've got mix and match droplets where you can mix and match the different resources that you need for your application. They've really improved the competitive pricing on their standard droplets too. Basically all my rigs just got an upgrade. My 3 cents an hour rig is just unstoppable.
You didn't do anything, and now they're better.
Yeah. And you were there weren't you there? We were doing something for.
We did it live. It was beautiful.
Yeah, we were doing something for TechSnap. We were doing an experiment. This is a great use case that we do with DigitalOcean all the time. Is Wes and I were about to talk about something on TechSnap, and we had a question functionally about how it worked, and we wanted to be able to speak from a position of experience. So we spun up a droplet. In this case, it was a droplet that I already had some of the tools installed on, so I upgraded the droplet, installed the applications I needed within seconds, and within 10 minutes total, we had run through different scenarios. We had tested the application, and we were able to incorporate that into our notes for the TechSnap program. And it's that kind of flexibility when you're trying something out, when you want to learn something, or when it's just time to build something and put it in production. There's all kinds of great uses for DigitalOcean. Go over there. They have great documentation. do.co/unplugged. Simplicity at scale, an unbelievably easy to use interface. That's why companies like Slack and Tesla and Jupiter Broadcasting and many, many others and lots of open source projects use DigitalOcean. do.co/unplugged, and go check out their documentation as well. Thank you, DigitalOcean, for sponsoring the Unplugged program. So let's talk about Java just for a moment, because I don't know what the hell's going on here. Oracle has handed over Java Enterprise Edition to the Eclipse Foundation, and now that the Eclipse Foundation has taken over Java Enterprise, they're renaming it to Jakarta, and they're dropping the Java trademark stuff. Like, there's no Java trademarks now. They're calling the new Java Enterprise Jakarta, and it's under the guise of the Eclipse Foundation. Did all those words I just said make sense to you?
I think so at a high level.
They barely did. Yeah.
But I'm still not clear. Will Oracle still be publishing their own version? Will people start actually calling it Jakarta? What's actually happening here?
So I think it is a handover. And the thing that screwed me up is that Jakarta isn't a new name. The Apache Foundation used the name Jakarta, which was their open source Java efforts in the late 90s till kind of like till recently, like at least till 2011. So that was an Apache thing. So then this thing comes along and it's really confusing. But my understanding is that essentially it's a group of Java experts, including the Java creator James Gosling, and others that wrote Oracle and said, hand it over to us. And they wrote a long list of reasons, and I think Oracle has complied. This is all news to me, and I barely care. But it seems like we may have a new product on the market called Jakarta EE, which is Java, but now under the Eclipse Foundation. So that's my takeaway story from this. Is that thick or what?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. We're talking about Oracle here, and so there's obviously going to be a lot of details that have to be argued over, and then lawyers involved.
Is there any chance somebody in the Mumble Room has a better breakdown of the story and perhaps could summon some bit of courage to actually care a bit more than I could? Nobody. Okay. Well, we'll get the actually email and they'll set us straight. I'm sure they'll tell us.
That's why we love you, audience.
Now, Mr. Foray couldn't join us today, and it's my bad because I believe he's in my neck of the woods right now. So I should have caught a hold of him and said, "Why don't you come over to Lady Jupe's?"
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I could have shared this pineapple cider with him, which is prickly pineapple. Prickly pineapple. Say that 10 times fast. And he could have told us about Juno, which they're now actually starting the hype machine on. And they don't talk a lot about their future releases, but we're starting to see some updates. And there is a couple of things that jumped out at me. Number one, besides just an overall refinement to almost all aspects of the user interface and the Photos app and the terminal, but they have a new nightlight function. Which you probably can guess what that is. It's a nightlight tab under the new display settings area. That there's a new function there, and you can set the temperature and the schedule. And then there's a really nice drop-down indicator where you can set there and adjust the shade from a drop-down indicator. They're just really. I don't know if you've seen the screenshot of this, Wes, but they've really done a good job of taking a feature that I rely a lot on. This nightshade feature combined with dark user interfaces is sort of my trick to using my computer late at night. Sometimes I just don't sleep. And what happens is, don't tell her I said this, but I go to bed and I get a real good sleep going. You know what I mean? Like a solid sleep.
One of those, oh yeah.
I'm out. And then Hadia, like, comes to bed or gets up and does something, or the kids or the dog wakes me up like 20 minutes into this nice sleep, and I never fall back asleep for the rest of the night. And so what I have learned is after about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours, I just give up and I go work.
You might as well get something done instead of restlessly sitting there.
And I'm cracking open that XPS 13 in the middle of the night. You know, sometimes it's like 2 a.m. or whatever when I've finally given up. And if Redshift isn't kicked in just right or whatever, it's a blast of blue light that almost guarantees I'll never go back to bed. And this functionality sometimes can be too much when I'm editing and I need to turn this down or turn it off. And so it's really just a slick implementation they've done. There's all kinds of things. I really like the work they've done with the terminal too.
It's those little
tweaks
release that often, I think, set Elementary apart, just in that, you know, for you and I, it's not a problem. We can install any of the tools that exist to do similar things, but to just have it right in the OS that you've installed that came on your computer, to have it be a first class in the UI and in the settings menu, that makes a big difference, I think, especially people coming from Mac or other fancier platforms.
Yeah, I almost wish I wasn't all in on Plasma now.
Right?
It's looking so good. It almost... But the Plasma hype beast has me hard right now. There's just no way.
You know, once it's out, I won't blame you if you want to flirt around for a while. That's okay.
You know what we need is somebody in the Mumble Room to be like a third-party arbiter, because, you know, Dan's going to say it's great if he shows up. And I'm not trying to right now because I'm all in on Plasma. So we need somebody from the Mumble Room to step up and be our Elementary OS ambassador and try this out and let us know how it's going and be like our 1804 on-the-scene reporter.
It could
Somebody's
be you.
got to do that. It could be. So if you want to do that, let us know. Go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact or hang out in our Mumble Room. mumble.jupitercolony.org for info on that and be part of the virtual lug, because it's going every Tuesday. We do this show we try to start around somewhere in like the 1:30 to 2 o'clock time range Pacific, and then we go until Noah's done with Ask Noah. So it's a good time to hang out.
Wonderful afternoon of Linux.
Heck yeah, jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar for the lifetime for that. There you go. So if you want to see Daniel's post on that, they have a update for the last couple of months. And it's looking really good. It's looking like they're really putting some serious work into that. You can go check that out. There's all of our links, jupiterbroadcasting.com. Go over there and then find the episode. This is episode 239, and you'll have links to everything in there. I don't know, Mr. Wes. What do you think? Do you think... Oh, you know what I was going to mention, too, is I'm going to try to... well, you know what? I'll save it. I'll save it. I was gonna say,
you are a tease
we'll
today.
Tease it. We'll tease it. We have this... Let's actually... Okay. Let's get into this. Let's do this. So, just really quickly, we earlier in the show, we talked about Jeff Bezos's clock, and Microsoft making a Hyper-V friendly version of Ubuntu. Also, Kali Linux coming in to the subsystem. There's I went down to Microsoft. I had some interesting conversations with them. It's almost quaint now to just kind of like, where's Microsoft doing with open source?
Yeah.
But there's something I kind of want to talk about in this area. And the topic that Tech Republic ran with was what Microsoft understands about open source that your company doesn't. And it's an interesting post, so I want to talk about that for a moment. But before we do, let's thank Linux Academy, linuxacademy.com/unplugged. Thank you, Linux Academy, for sponsoring the show. It's a platform for you guys to go to learn more, to get more out of your career, to maybe advance it, or to just challenge yourself, whatever you think might help build the resume. It's a full-featured training library with everything you need to learn new skills. Self-paced, in-depth video course on every cloud and DevOps topic. Hands-on, scenario-based labs to give you experience on real servers. And if you ever need help, they have full-time instructors that are there to advise and answer your questions. And they have Learning Paths, which are a series of courses and contents planned by instructors for specific career tracks. If you're ready to either switch track or go deeper, really recommend that. And now, a lot of you ask about certifications, and yes, they have courses created specifically to prepare you for certification exams. They also have practice exams and quizzes to prepare you. They have flashcards, which use custom randomized decks of cards to help you study. They get forked by the community and made better all of the time. They have iOS and Android apps so you can study on the go. And they have a deep content library. And they have staff that are adding to that and also going back and keeping it relevant all the time. So that way your subscription is always valuable. And if you're ready to learn AWS or OpenStack or even Azure, they have great courseware and all of that. They're really becoming the leader with all of that stuff. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. Go there and sign up for a free 7-day trial. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. And a big thank you to Linux Academy for sponsoring the Unplugged program. So the sub-headline is, Microsoft understands that its future depends upon contributing to open source, not just using it. And your company needs the same strategy. And when I was talking with Jeffrey, the technology fellow at Microsoft from the Azure group,
Right.
He talked about, well, actually, let me reframe this. I told him the reason why it's hard for us to understand what Microsoft's overall strategy is because from the outside, we just see these big code drops. So .NET Core, boom, code drop. Visual Studio Code, boom, just code drop. And then all of a sudden, PowerShell Core, boom, code drop. And it just looks like this sporadic, like, now we're doing this as open source because developers, and now we're doing this as open source because developers.
Right.
And it feels like it's an attempt to just take a shotgun approach to solving a problem. But what I realized, which is obvious, if you have any kind of insight inside a company, what I realized is these are the manifestations of 3 or 4 year long processes. Like Joey, who was in some of our interviews a couple of weeks ago, he was hired like 4 years ago to help specifically begin the snowball effect of this process, which involved training the team on using Git, which involved getting people on Mac and Linux, which got people that which quite frankly involved firing people who weren't on board with the new program and were always Windows first. And it was this realignment that they have been doing internally to not just make money off of open source, which is what they're doing, but the way they're making money off open source is by trying to contribute to open source and get legitimate I don't know if standing's the right word. So I'll give you an example of where I'm going with this. They talked at length internally about how the open source community would react to them open sourcing PowerShell and what they could do to sort of appease that reaction, to sort of address some of those concerns. And they specifically had to jump into action when the developer of curl was one of the first people to submit a bug, and it was, hey, you've got to remove your alias of curl so people can actually use real curl. And like they have this big conversation, like, okay, now we've got to make sure we're responding. This is what we're doing now. Let's get everybody in here. It wasn't just like our PR department's doing this now while our developers are working internally. It was the people actually touching the code had to get involved. And there was some sort of shift that they had, some sort of mind shift that they had. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was perhaps just watching how Red Hat does it and figuring out how Red Hat's making money and going, well, geez, they're actually contributing code upstream. They're actually writing that stuff for their competitors to use, and they're still making money on it, and they're being taken serious, and they're considered legitimate. Well, maybe we should do that. So it's not like there wasn't somebody out there for them to look at, but they actually got it. And so what we're seeing today is sometimes something that's been in the works for 4 or 5 years now, that they're just getting around to dropping on us. And so the key point that this Tech Republic article makes is if you actually want to be taken serious at like a platform level or at a tool level, you've actually got to go all in. It can't just be like the PR division or a part of it. And I kind of take some of this and I kind of direct some of this at Dell right now. Like Dell is pretty all in on Linux on the server side and on the Sputnik line, but it feels like there's more they could do. They do contribute source code upstream, but I feel like there's more there's further steps for Dell to take, and I don't know exactly what they would be next.
I mean, they will definitely still, quote unquote, recommend Windows 10 for the laptop that they're trying to sell you.
Yeah, and I guess that's understandable for business reasons.
It absolutely is, but it doesn't. There's a lot of conflicting feelings. You're not quite sure, like, well, how invested in this are you?
So you and I talk about on TechSnap, a lot of tools that people can use to manage their server infrastructure and their crazy container sprawl and all that stuff. And can you think of any of those tools that are really serious? Like, what are the big ones in that space that are completely commercial, where they don't have like half the tool is open source? Is Ansible all open source? What's the
the Ansible Tower component didn't used to be, but it is now. It really has been the trend. There still are, some like enterprise focused proprietary systems for monitoring and configuration management, but they're definitely not the things that you end up seeing at big tech companies or a lot of startups, or, maybe if you've been paying for them for 20 years and it's part of your workflow, sure, but it's not where the momentum is.
The only thing I could think of that's server based is web server cPanel.
Yep. Yeah. I was thinking cPanel is definitely something that's more consumer facing, but yeah. Is cPanel still strong though? Is it used much?
Yeah, it's one of the top ones.
Still, huh? Ugh. What a nightmare.
Plesk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wes, when's the last time you used cPanel or Plesk?
Thankfully, quite some time, but I definitely have friends, or people in unfortunate situations, and you're right, they're definitely still out there.
Yeah. It seems though like if you want to be like a legitimate platform player, you have to open source. I mean, look at Apple with Swift. You had to open source Swift to be taken seriously anymore. I think it's a pretty big statement right there. And Apple is an example of a company who's like half in with open source. They obviously use a lot of it, a lot of the BSD tools, cups. A lot of that stuff is open source in the development chain. Even Darwin itself is open source, but it feels like that's more of an open source out of convenience, where there is a different type of commitment level to open source coming out of Microsoft now. You can be listening to this and be skeptical and say, oh, Chris has bought into the Kool-Aid, but I went down there and I talked to the people, and they said the things that you say when you're legitimately trying hard and you're a large company. And I think that formula that they've cracked is going to be one that other companies are either going to have to try to copy, or they're going to be just perceived as disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like a legitimate.
it feels
Yeah.
like almost like you almost have to assess it from that perspective in terms of open source is just what you have to do now. So even if you don't trust Microsoft, still don't like Microsoft, whatever, they're smart enough, savvy enough, at least it appears, that even if they didn't genuinely believe these things, they're willing to do so just in their own interest.
You know what's going to be weird is to see where Google goes in the next few years with open source, because they've got Project Fuchsia. They've got Android One.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different of a thing. And there's also today, there is news that Google has unveiled a 72-qubit Bristol cone processor, which they say brings them to quantum supremacy in the quantum computing race. Now, it's not like we're not talking like they're cracking Bitcoin crypto codes yet, but that is going to be a really interesting thing to see where this all goes with Google, and where they still continue to contribute to open source and where they become more Apple to try to stay competitive with Android. That line that they walk.
Very much so. And it's funny you mentioned that, because just the other week too, Microsoft released their quantum development kit, including support for Linux. So they're all playing in these spaces. I think it will matter, like, how genuine do they believe it? Is it a Google style kind of, it is open source, but all the good stuff gets put proprietary, or will it really be first class open source?
That seems to be the way it's going too. It's like these big centralized, obviously because of just the cooling requirements and all this crazy stuff when they build these quantum computers. IBM's doing that too. Did you see that? There's like some IBM center down in Texas. If you're a local, you can go use IBM's quantum computer.
Yeah, and then they have an API you can use over the web as well.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you go, Wes. Maybe we could encode some podcasts on there.
Let's give it a shot.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so
No,
either.
I don't think so. All right, if you want to contribute something to the show, go to linuxunplugged.reddit.com. That is our subreddit, linuxunplugged.reddit.com. Yes, we have a subreddit. We don't mention it very often, but it's over there. Subreddit, I'm not big on Reddit these days, so I just shut down our Jupiter Broadcasting subreddit. Because I was in there and I was like, I shouldn't swear, but this is a dumpster fire is what my thoughts were. But the Unplugged subreddit still seems to be chugging along just fine. And there is a post in there that was submitted an hour ago by Mr. Motang about Skype bragging that their maintenance updates could be easier because of snaps. Now, I think there's also the possibility that we could see more things coming down this channel. I don't know how much I can say.
Yeah.
I don't think I can actually say what I know. But do you remember?
It does seem like there's some momentum behind the scenes that I don't get to be privileged to, but just quiet releases of things that's got to be building.
Well, see, here's I'll tell you, there's a capability when you have a confined application and you ship with its own libraries. If the application is typically doing something wrong, there might be a way via packaging to solve it. So say you had an application like Skype that was broken into two pieces. You had an Electron version of Skype, and then inside Skype, you still had like a C+ application to do like all of the voice calls that actually was the voice engine. Let's say this is theoretically how new Skype is set up. Well, new Skype uses Electron wrapper for like the chat and all of that. And of course, because it's new Skype, that's using Pulse Audio. But core Skype that's like embedded in that Electron app that's doing all of the management for the voice calls, that's still using ALSA.
Fun. Okay, I totally believe that would happen in this theoretical Linux universe.
Exactly, and it's possible that perhaps one is communicating at ALSA with one rate, and it's communicating, and then the Electron app's communicating to Pulsa with a completely different rate. You see what I'm saying?
I can't.
So
I mean,
possible.
I certainly can't hear what you're saying because that sounds like an audio clusterfuck.
Sorry, talking.
Yeah, that
about, Are you talking about sample rate or?
Yeah, we might be talking about sample rate, not bit rate. That might be what we're talking about. Maybe talking like 44 hertz versus 48 hertz. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Like perhaps the Electron app is at 44 hertz, and perhaps the C++ or the C+ apps at 48. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. And via packaging, you might be able to have some libraries in there that solve this problem and fix this problem for the vendor that doesn't require them doing a complete rewrite of their application. And so that vendor may be very excited about the packaging format because of the possibilities of solving problems for them on the Linux platform. That could be potentially what we're dealing with here, but I don't know. I'm just speculating. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could see a sample rate mismatch, but not so much a bit rate mismatch because that would just make compression sound weird. A sample rate mismatch would actually speed up or slow down the audio.
Yeah. Hadia just got back from the Capitol with Levi.
Levi, welcome in, little buddy.
Yeah, Levi is now here. He's here. Come here, Levi. Come here. Come say hi to the Unplugged program. Come here. Come up here. Come here. Come here. So, yeah, he's nice and warm. Here, lick the microphone for me. There you go. Yeah, he likes to sit up here and look out the window. But how was that? Was that good? It was wonderful. Yeah. Is it warm? Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty warm out there. I'm getting pretty warm in here. Did you just turn on the air? Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, all right. Well, so Mr. Wes, I have just a couple of parting bits to talk about before we get out of here.
Let us in on your secrets.
Do you have any secrets you want to share with the people? Maybe like a Twitter place they could check out something like that.
You can find me over at Wes Payne.
Very good. You can follow me at ChrisLAS, and why not check out the Instagram? I'll post a few pictures. Yes, I said it.
Do it.
Instagram. Yeah, I'm InstaChrisLAS.
As long as there's Levi pictures, I will be there.
You know what? I'll make sure I put a Levi picture up there just for you.
Thank you.
Just for you. I'm InstaChrisLAS on there. I'll be posting some pictures on the road to scale. TechTalk.today for the story as we get to scale. And if you're in the Pasadena area, let me know at ChrisLAS on the Twitter or on the Telegrams. I'd love to talk to you guys. And JupiterBroadcasting.com/calendar for our live time. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Unplugged, and we'll see you right back here next week. All right. Well, now we just got to pick a title, and then we're out of here.
Titles on, everyone.
Noah may be stopping in a little bit, too.
Noah, that dog.
I know, right? I know.
Boom, jbtitles.com. Go get your vote heard right now. The only election that matters.
JB Titles.
I shall be back after getting the kid.
Good luck.
Thanks. It's a 2-mile
Cadillac.
drive. Woohoo.
Cadillac of Linux cons. That's funny.
No booze allowed.
By the way, when your significant other entered into the vehicle, did any of the wasps fly in?
I don't think so. Let's see.
Wasps
Unplugged
like
at
letting
scale.
their presence be known.
Beep, 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 beep. Unplugged and remote. Unplugged Roadhead. The bee's knees. The bee's knees with Linux. That's funny. That's funny, XMN.
Although, can you clean your RV in a car wash, or do you have to go through a truck wash?
Yeah, you gotta go through a truck wash.
Truck wash.
At the truck wash, yeah.
Oh, truck wash. Basically like that. Unplugged at scale. On the road
there
to
we
scale.
Go. There on the road
Scaling
scale?
Unplugged. Which sounds like we are, talking about how we do the show.
Well, we gotta save some of that for actually
for the actual scale bits, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, that's the thing. Boop, 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 boop. So Wes, do you see the mumble machine?
I sure do.
Yeah, I'm looking to see where that setting is, so that way I don't have that problem again. So for connections to this computer, access, configure, full access. I wonder if that's. Where is that setting so that way grant easy access? What is that? Check. You might have to check that on AirMaster.
Yeah, I see it. Grant easy access.
Is that checked?
I'm currently
no, but it is.
It is.
Now.
I'm currently looking at Instagram, and you seem to be a master of filters, Chris.
Yeah, really? I don't know. They're all pretty old. I wonder if the problem is. Okay, so let me see if I can connect to that now, Wes.
Yeah.
What if you logged in as a separate user? Because then you could adjust the local volume for each user.
See, it seems to be. Yeah, it does seem to be connecting now.
Excellent.
So yeah, I don't think I had to don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I had to do. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, just check that option, hit apply, seemed to work then.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that's all it is. I wish I could do that on the OBS machine, but it's too old of it. The Arch install is too out of date. So we have Simple Help on there, but I don't have Simple Help set up here. But I was able to stay connected into that Mumble machine the whole time.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, that's really great.
Overall, I think your voice quality was pretty good. You had a couple. There's like one or two times where you stuttered a bit.
Was there?
But, yeah, but nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was moderate.
Yeah, and I wasn't like, I didn't even quit Dropbox. I probably should have done that. But yeah. So what are we going to name this thing?
That's a good question. Really unplugged and off the grid. Microsoft's Linux intentions. Microsoft. We'll just put quantum in there a whole bunch. That's probably what we want.
We have, it's funny how, you notice how like the Mumble Room attendance is pretty decent today, but
Yeah.
it could be double this some weeks, and it just sort of ebbs and flows.
It really does. We should get some graphs on that.
By the
That would
way,
be
on
really
Twitter-
interesting.
On Twitter, check out the trends in the U.S. Ready Player One is trending, and it seems to be all retro movie titles and/or retro characters being subbed in with Ready Player One.
Oh, really? When's Ready Player One coming out? I'm ready. My body is ready. My body is ready. All right, Wes, I'm going to go find a Levi picture for you right now.
Oh,
this is a
what
priority.
a dear.
How about, here's one that we call Levi the Copi.
Levi the Copa. He's so cute. Now he's been to California. Look at that.
He may have before because,
right.
He's from
You just
Texas.
can't say.
We parked somewhere where the people parked next to us. They had a rescue dog from Texas too.
Nice. Did they get along well?
Yeah. They did. He, Levi.
Yeah.
He
He just
Levi.
wants to be everyone's friend.
Yeah. There's ain't nobody Levi don't get along with. Know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And if so, I don't trust that person. They've clearly done something wrong.
It'll release on the 29th of March.
Oh man, that's forever. That is forever, dude.
Could be worth the wait. Plus, I think Spielberg is directing.
There you go, Wes. Just for you. Posted Levi the co-pilot.
Oh.
Boom. All right, so we got to name this thing. This is gonna be a weird post show.
Yeah, this is a weird post show. But that's just what happens sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's a weird week because it's a low Mumble attendance. It's kind of a light news week, and
Everyone's too excited about scale. How are you going to...
And yeah, and also this is put together at the last minute because road trip.
Well, you're not supposed to reveal that part.
Okay, all right. Scaling Unplugged, Remote Access Unplugged, Unplugged on the Road, Unplugged Road Show. What about Jeff's clock or something like that, or cleaning Jeff's clock?
Oh, cleaning Jeff's clock, huh? Millennium
Microsoft
Linux. strategy.
Microsoft strategy.
That's
Because
not too bad.
was
And we had two stories at least.
the Microsoft Millennium, the Microsoft. Microsoft's
Millennium.
move. The really what you got here is where I was gonna go with. You know what I forgot to put in there was where I was gonna go is both Microsoft and Amazon are really powerfully positioned to just dominate for a couple of years, and Amazon more so, I think, and I wanted to kind of work that into the segment because that's kind of where this is headed. It didn't work. There's too much going on. I don't know. We didn't get there, but that's where this is all going. Is Amazon is going to become like the titan of our industry because they already run the internet with EC2. they're gonna turn our own homes into stores with Ring video doorbell and the Echo devices and the security products they're about to launch, and then home delivery of prescriptions. They're gonna just own our home completely. Our own with the Echo tubes and dash buttons and all these other things. They just turn your. They don't need a store because your house is the store. And then they have Amazon.com, and then they're gonna have their media section with the Prime stuff, the Prime Video stuff. And they're opening up another headquarters.
So do you feel like a little pawn being bounced back and forth between like three big tech companies kind of deciding what your life is like?
Yeah.
Also, did you guys mention about the gaming service that they just bought?
No. Nope.
No.
Yeah, they just bought a game streaming service.
So the future is theirs. The future is Microsoft. So like, where can we go for a title from this?
Microsoft's Millennium. The next Microsoft Millennium.
The next Microsoft decade.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm not allowing any Amazon Echoes into my residence.
Next Microsoft. It's kind of long.
Microsoft's
and I don't know. People just think it's about Microsoft.
Yeah,
I think.
right. The future
People are
is
probably
open
tired
source. No.
That's closer. That's not bad. It's not great. It's kind of generic,
Open
but that's
source
probably
for
more
the
in the
long
direction.
term. Open source Millennium.
By the way, can we check the IRC Discord poll?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It's in the show notes from 2 weeks ago. If you want to check it while we tile it up. There you go, Levi the co-pilot picture posted just for you, Wes. Boom.
Yep, look at that.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Got it up here on the stream now.
Isn't he a dog?
Oh yeah,
that is a dog.
He looks kind of sleepy.
Yeah, he does get very sleepy.
You're on the road, a long day traveling. It takes it out of a little pup.
It does. Poor little guy.
Oh gosh, he's so cute with his little sweater too. He probably hardly needs it in your warm California air.
Yeah, it's off now. That was earlier this morning when it was up in the 20s.
Okay, so what else do we got here? Anything new? Unplugged on the road. I've been unplugged everywhere. Hashtag rotten was right. That's great. Plasma Millennium. Well, we only really talked about Plasma just as the check-in. Let's see here.
Okay, looks like IRC is winning over Discord with 77%.
Yeah,
yeah,
that doesn't surprise me.
I think 77 is down from 79 from last check, correct?
Oh, it is, huh? Well, there you go. Morty, just use an external USB sound card. Don't use the sound card built into your laptop.
Yeah.
For hiss. So, okay.
Something about Jakarta?
No. No. Selling out for open source.
Oh. That's actually not bad.
Yeah,
it's kind of nuanced. There could be multiple interpretations. It's got open source in there. Doesn't say Microsoft, but it's obviously what we're talking about.
Huh. I kind of like it.
I like
You're
it
making
too.
me like it. You're making me like it, Wes.
I could live with that.
All right. Okay. Maybe we'll do that.
But that is truly selling out. I mean,
well, who are we talking about? We may not be.
Yeah.
We may be talking about Apple. I don't know.
Oracle.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about. I like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Dumpster fire.
If I had better connections at Microsoft and more time, I would be tempted to go to Build this year and see how much they're talking about open source at Build.
That would be
that's their big
fascinating.
developer conference. Yeah.
Speaking of Microsoft connections, did you get a contact with anybody significant yet?
Well, what do you mean?
Because I sent your email over to the contact I have who's a co-host of Twite, who's a Microsoft development head of the Graph.
Oh, Lou? No,
Yeah.
but I've been talking to other people. Yeah, I've been talking to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lou would be a good perspective to have on the show with regards to the Microsoft Graph. So, and he runs Linux on occasion.
How dare he? How dare he? Now
That's
he's been outed.
insane.
Well, I mean, it is open now with Satya Nadella.
No, we're just teasing. We're just teasing.
Sorry,
I see
sometimes I don't get that sense of humor.
Oh, there he is. There he is. The moment we've
heard
all
it.
been waiting
Yeah.
for. Ah,
Welcome, him.
hallelujah.
Hi there, guys.
You sound
Noah.
better today. Hooray!
Did I sound bad before? I don't know how to
Ouch.
take that exactly.
Burn.
There was a week ago or something.
There was that one live stream where your audio was just
Oh yeah,
potato garbage, and then
we had to
and then
we had to we had to bail on the post show because it was so bad. Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
it was last week.
Yeah, that was.
We should.
Well, no, that was. To be fair, that was not. That was my studio audio. I was on my laptop or something like
Not
that.
my fault. It's not my fault. I love you now.
I wouldn't go that far. It was my fault. It just you know.
So you're in your regular old Grand Forks studio, you know,
Nice.
just old boring studio that's been custom built for you, just old boring.
Well, actually, so I I don't know how. I know you get excited more on the studio side of things than the transmitter side, but we got a new transmitter, and it's a transmitter made for Chris. Because,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the whole thing is a web UI, so you log in. And you can set the power, and you can turn it on and off. It's got so many bells and whistles on the stupid thing. I get emails from my transmitter now telling me your audio is a little bit low and it's not modulating quite as much, and it's not quite as loud as this station that I'm listening to, and so you might want. It's crazy.
Ooh, it's like what do you mean? What do you mean? Like the software emails you? Like it's not a human?
No, yeah, it's actually a little ARM computer that's inside of that It's inside of that transmitter, and it monitors for a bunch of different things. And like even like when I show you the interface, even though you're not much of a you're not like I don't think you, at least I don't think you get gung ho over like the RF side, you'd look at it and be like, man, that is cool. I don't even know what that is, but I want to play with it.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
that's a
yeah, I
strong
can see
selling
that.
point.
Yeah, I could see that. I could totally see that. So what's coming up on the show today?
Oh, we are doing some really exciting things. We are talking today about all of the tools and software packages and stuff that people self-host on their home servers, on their business servers, and how those tools work, what the best ones are, what are ones that you might want to stay away from, and if you don't want to host them yourself, what are some of the alternatives you can go to get some to just pay somebody to host that stuff? Or is there a
Nice.
managed provider that provides that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do a home server hoedown on the Unplugged
Yeah.
program for a few weeks. That's I think I love that topic. Something you
Yeah,
know
it's-
you can
it's
self-host or
ex-
not.
It's exploding in the industry, which is why it's so interesting to me.
Whoa, really? Really?
Yeah, I
didn't know that.
I get monthly sales reports of where we make the most amount of our money, and this month the one thing that I can say that brought in the most money, if I was to categorize something, it is maintenance, support, or installation of self-hosted services.
Good.
I know.
Good. That's also good long term too for you.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, because there are some trends in the IT industry that they got me worried sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm looking forward to it. Now, what else? Come on. What else? We should
Get
people
us
calling you?
excited here.
This is your space. Give us a tease.
Oh well. Here's the thing. I can only go so far before I have
Oh,
to say
you don't
have
wanna
to go to
reveal.
TVLive.tv and
Okay.
and tune in. But I'll give you a little bit of a tease. So have you played with C-File yet? Is that maybe that has to be a thing?
You
where
got me
Linux software
close.
plays.
You've got me close. Yeah, we should do a little demo during Linux Fest.
I think the best way to sell you on C-File, I think the way to do it, knowing what I know about you, I feel like. So first, I think I should make the disclaimer, like, I'm going to manipulate you. I think that's how I excuse myself from the manipulation that we talked about. If I tell you, then you can't be like, oh, I'm just being upfront.
Yeah. All right.
But I
Well,
think
that'll be our system.
I think the way to do it is to just offer it to you as if it is a hosted thing that you could just go sign
Oh.
up for. You know?
I see.
thing about
Because you
Chris
think
is-
that's
You're
what it
just
takes
providing,
for
offering
here
Chris
we go.
a service to get him hooked.
Yeah, go ahead. Now say like the thing that's going to trigger me. So
No, I think well, really, what I think it is if I were to put words to it, I think the words are Chris wants all the benefits of self-hosted stuff, but he doesn't necessarily have the time or the luxury of being able to have to figure that out unless it's something that he relies on. So I feel like for trying something like if you're gonna go all in and like base your business off of it, no doubt you'd host it yourself. But I feel like for just like I'm gonna try this, not really sure. Feel like the way to do that is to say, here's a given instance, go play with it, see what you think, and then if it works, then you say, okay, now how do I move this on for myself?
I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely willing to try it because, honestly, you've really kind of sold me on it. What was it? 2 weeks ago you did an episode on it, or I can't remember, 3 weeks now, and you were talking about it when. And you were talking about it when we were in person too, and so that really kind of got me. That really kind of got me sold. All right, I'll give it a go. You know, I'm not married to Dropbox. I think it's done pretty well, but it's expensive, and you know, I would imagine things are going to be changing there now that they filed for an IPO.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is when I look at the cost and I start saying, man, the amount of flexibility that you would have with this software thing over here, and the amount of flexibility that you have that I know exists with Dropbox, and I'm looking at some of the stuff, and I'm like, man, from a production standpoint, for what you have to do with file syncing, it's just, I don't know, it's pretty amazing.
Well, isn't the limitation of self-hosting services? Don't get me wrong. I love the idea as sort of a hacker mindset, but isn't the limitation if you need to access that from outside the your network, you're limited by your upload speed connection?
Yeah, of course. But we have ways. We've partnered up with some managed hosted providers that we can get servers now for $25, 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte storage arrays, 8 gigs of RAM, and dedicated Xeons for $25 a month. Like when you start getting to there, and you can start putting those servers all over the U.S., and then you start hooking them together so that one talks to the other, and so that your data starts. You basically set up your own little mini CDN. You start getting to that point, and all of a sudden it's like, man, how is Dropbox going to compete with this?
Speaking of which, what do you recommend as far as dampening rack devices in a home?
I'll be honest with you. We've come across that a couple of times, and it really isn't a great solution. Like, so the closest I have is we work for a recording studio that does production services, and they have this is what happens when you don't put any foresight into your IT infrastructure. They have their IT room, quote unquote, and they're like, oh, we'll have a couple switches and some cabling. There's nothing noisy in there. So they put it right next to one of their production suites. And of course, then we start putting some servers in there. They're like, can we turn those fans off? I'm like, sure. If you'd like your server to cook. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
toasty warm.
Yeah.
Cartons? Could egg cartons work on that wall possibly, like the wall opposite of that server?
Egg cartons will keep sound from echoing, but it's not really good at insulation. So we have moving blankets that are stacked to the point that it makes the fire marshal cringe, and it's still not great, but it works, I guess.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Good enough, at least for now.
You got to also be careful about completely enclosing it, because those things make a lot of heat, and it'll become hundreds of degrees.
No, I'm talking about like on the wall on the other side where the noise is passing through.
That doesn't insulate noise though.
That's what she said. No, when you're done, will you simple help the OBS machine back to reruns? Because I won't be there to
yes,
flip
I
it
can.
over. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And then Wes, when you're done, you can stop stream for Wes or for Noah. I guess I'll stop the YouTube first, but yeah.
Okay.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't even need anyone to set me a static password to log in.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, we can talk about that too. But all right, well, I guess I'll shut down the YouTube stream to get it clear and get it ready for the Ask Noah program. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's gonna tune out for a bit, and then Noah will start it before his S kicks over. Anything else you want to leave with them, Noah, before we go? It's your last chance to shine.
Yeah, get him stoked.
I don't think so. I want you to drive safe. I want you to relax.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When am I gonna? I'm seeing you Thursday evening. Is that what I'm seeing you? Thursday,
well,
Friday
I was gonna-
morning? What do
I meant to shoot you a telegram about this, and I was like, I just never know what you're doing. But would you prefer I show up? Because it'll be late. My flight gets in at like 11 p.m. So would you prefer I just
I
go
don't
crash
care.
somewhere and meet up with you early Friday morning?
I don't. No, not really. No,
Okay.
not really.
All right.
No.
Okay, then I will.
And then are you going up to Twit on Saturday? Is that what you're doing?
No,
Is that a thing?
I'm
Because
not. I'm
people
not.
are trying to
Because
schedule. People are trying to schedule dinner and stuff with us
I
like
know.
crazy
and here's
already.
The thing. I told. Here's the bottom. Here's what I'll say. I'll just suffice to say that when I'm at scale, I'm at scale. So everything else.
All
will
right,
be
darling. Okay.
second priority.
Okay. Well, I got lots of people asking for to go out. I've
You're
already
a
got like 4 or
popular
5
pet.
people that want to go out tonight, so it's already starting to happen before I've even gotten down there. But all right, well, have a good show, and
Hey, thanks.
I'll see you on Thursday or Friday.
No, Thursday night. I'll ping you as soon as I land.
Okay.
And then, an hour or so later when I make it to Pasadena. Or you're not in Pasadena, right? You're, I assume, in an RV
I'm in
park somewhere?
Pomona. Yeah, the KOA in the KOA in Pomona.
Okay. So I'll touch base with you. I'm on the ground.
Okay. So Wes, I'm just gonna disconnect, and then when you say goodbye to everybody, just stop stream too, because